Let's go now to the second step or second principle of the theory of consumer behavior or constraints of an individual. Okay, so the rational consumer would want as many goods as possible to maximize utility derived from consuming them. But as much as we want to maximize utility by consuming more and more of different goods, in reality, we are constrained by our budget or income. Consumption decision is also affected or constrained by our budget or income. So, ibig sabihin, dito papasok na naman yung concept ng scarcity, di ba? So, hindi lahat ng gusto natin ay makukuha natin kasi nga limited lang yung resources or limited lang yung budget or income. So, to illustrate the constraints of an individual, we will use budget line. A budget line gives the maximum amount of goods and services that consumers can purchase given their income. So income we will denote I and the prices of the commodities or prices of the goods and services. So we denote prices as P. We have here a diagram showing the budget line of the consumer. So that triangle shaped, that is the budget line of the consumer. Okay. Assume that an individual has I amount of income to allocate between good X and good Y. So the budget line is in the form price of X. So again, we denote prices of commodities as P. So P of X, that stands for the price of X. Then X here, the good X, plus the price PY or the price of good Y times the quantity purchased or the number of units for Y is less than or equal to the amount of income of the consumer. So, kumbaga, the first term is the consumption on good X plus the second term P sub Y times Y, that's the consumption for good Y, must be equal to the consumer's income. So, in our discussion, we will assume that the consumer is spending all of his or her income. So that we can derive this budget line, straight line. There are two extreme points of the budget line. This point here, or which is equal to I over the price of income over the price of Y, income over the price of good Y, so is equal to this amount. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung income over the price of good Y. So, that's the maximum number of Y na pwedeng ma-purchase ni consumer. So, halimbawa, may income ka ng 100 and you want to buy pizza at 10 per slice, 10 pesos per slice. So, with your income na 100 and you want to buy 10 slices of pizza at 10 pesos, so the maximum number of slices or maximum quantity of pizza na pwede mong mabili ay 10, di ba? So, this point, the value here is equal to 10. Is the Y or I over price of Y. Another extreme point is this one, which is equal to income over the price of X. Kasi sa vertical axis nandyan si X. Horizontal axis nandyan si Y. So, income over the price of X, so that's also the maximum quantity of good X that a consumer can buy. Okay, so any combinations of X and Y na on or within the budget line is possible or attainable given the income of the consumer. And take note, class, that if full utilization of income is attained, or if consumer will buy all of his income for good X and good Y, then this budget line, the straight line here, is possible. But if consumer will purchase only a little of Y and X, halimbawa dito, ito yung combination of X and Y. So, the combination is up to here. So, the quantity of X and Y are smaller or lesser compare kung fully utilize niya yung income niya. So, any combination below the budget line describes that the consumer is not consuming or allocating all of his or her income. And any combination outside the budget line naman means that with his or her income, then that combination of X and Y is impossible to achieve. So any combination outside the budget line describes scarcity, or there is or no more available budget for that combination. So it is impossible to attain. Ayan. Later we'll have example about this line. Another idea that we can derive from the budget line is the slope, or we can calculate the slope of the budget line, which is also the market rate of trade-off. Market prices convey opportunity costs of individuals, hence affecting the choices actually made. We have here an equation, and this equation is called the budget line equation. So, ang sabi dito sa equation na yan, that income must be equal to the budget or the consumption for good X plus the consumption for good Y if consumers buy only goods X and Y. Okay, the sum of the consumption of X and Y, okay, is equal to the consumer's income. So again, we assume a budget exhaustion or full utilization of income or budget. From this equation, we can derive another idea. So if we will move the second term on the right, if we move the second term or this term, the p sub y times y to the left, so magiging ganyan yung situation. Or here, we are trying to derive the slope, diba? Slope of the budget line. So, ibig sabihin dito, sa third line, we divide both sides by this one, this price times price of good y. So, cancel yan sa left side. So, what is left is si y na lang. Then, the right side is equal to this equation. Then, from the third line equation, okay, we can now derive the slope of the budget line, which is equal to the negative of the ratio of prices of X and Y. Negative Px over Py is the slope, or Px over Py, that's the market rate of trade-off. Again, kasi the budget line is downward sloping. So, take note guys, pag pababa yung line, direction ng line. So, the sign of the slope is always negative. So, sa budget line, the slope is negative. For example, suppose meron tayong ganito na given. So, income of the consumer is equal to 200, price of good X is 5, and the price of good Y is 10. Ano yung maximum Y? Or if all of the consumer's income will be allocated for the consumption of good X, then ilan itong, ano yung maximum X? Okay, so yun yung isa-solve natin. So, what is the budget line equation? Kung isulat natin yung budget line equation, we have I is equal to P sub X times X plus price of Y times Y. So, ano yung I? 200. Budget line equation is 200 is equal to 5X plus 10Y. Maximum X. So, 200 over price of X. 200 over 5, how much? 40. Maximum Y naman is, that's 200 over 10. How much? 20. Maximum Y is 20. Okay, so yun. Itong dalawa dito, yun yung extreme points of the budget line. What is the slope? The slope is any points along the budget line, the slope is 1/2. Or the slope is negative 1/2. Or 20 over 40. Ano nangyari dito? 20 over 40 is 1/2. So that's the slope. Or the market rate of trade-off is 1/2. Ibig sabihin, the price of good Y is 2 times higher than the price of good X. A budget line can shift or rotate. Okay, suppose I increase to 250. From 200, giging 250. So, what happens to the diagram now? Diba, from 20 to 40, ito yung initial, diba? 20 yung maximum Y, 40 yung maximum X. As income increases to 250, the new budget line now is this one. Ibig sabihin, class, the new budget line shifts. Nag-shift, so there is entire shifting of the budget line as income of the consumer increases. Again, the budget line will shift only if income changes. The quantity of X and Y also increases, diba? So, paano nakuha si 50? 50X, so 250 over same pa rin yung prices, yung nag-change lang si income. So, 250 divided by the price of X. Then, dito naman, 250 divided by the price of Y. So, that is 25. So, kung tumaas yung income, the budget line shifts to the right. If opposite yung situation, the income decreases. So, the budget line will shift to the left. Then, the second diagram, ano nangyari dito? Shows that the budget line rotates. The second diagram shows a rotation of the budget line. Si price of Y, bumaba siya to 5. From 10, nagiging 5. But no changes in income, 200 pa rin. Then, same pa rin yung price ni X, which is 5. So, only the price of Y decreases. So, from 20, so yung affected lang na quantity ay si vertical axis. No changes sa quantity on x-axis or horizontal axis kasi walang nangyari. No, the quantity of good Y increases from 20 to 40 as its price decreases to 5. Again, rotation of the budget line happens if any of the prices of X and Y will change. But shifting of the budget line will happen if the income of the consumer changes.